show this morning. It is sponsored by the Northwestern Ohio Chevy dealers. Now we're standing outside of the Arctic Encounter. We do have 3 polar bears on the other side of the exhibit, and then directly in front of you is the seal and sea lion exhibit. There is 1 harbor seal, 2 gray seals, and 4 California sea lions. We have 2 of our sea lions in the show this morning, so let's go ahead and introduce them. So to the left, on top of that large rock working with Raven, we have Penny, one of our 12-year-old sea lions. Can everybody say hi, Penny? Awesome. And then to the right, directly in front of most of you, we have Phoenix working with Margaret. Say hi, Phoenix. Phoenix is one of our 5-year-old sea lions. All 4 of our sea lions are females, and they're all related. It is 2 sisters and 2 daughters. And today in our morning show, we have a mother and daughter duo. Now, I already told you in front of us are the seals and sea lions. They are closely related, but there are some noticeable differences. One of those differences is that sea lions have external ear flaps, similar to a human's. And you can see Margaret pointing them out on Phoenix there to your right. And you can see their ears. Whereas seals have pinhole ears, so they're extremely hard to see. Sea lions also have better adaptations to moving on land. So they have really strong front flippers, as many of you might have noticed Penny climbed the rock. They also have a rotating hip bone, which allows them to pull their back flippers underneath themselves to move better on land. Seals would kind of just move like an inchworm. Now in the water, they swim differently as well. So sea lions will use those strong front flippers to propel themselves through the water, whereas seals will kind of tuck those front flippers against their body, and then they will use their back flippers to move. Now I already told you at the beginning, they are California sea lions, so who can tell me where they're from? California! Great job, everybody. You had your coffee this morning. All the way down the coast to Mexico. Now, if you've ever traveled out there on vacation, you might see them hunting in the water, playing in the water, or better yet, basking on boats in a marina. They are also excellent climbers and divers. So you guys have noticed Penny has made a second trip up onto the big rock with Raven there. And now we're going to count down and watch her dive. So count with me. 3, 2, 1. Oh, give Penny a round of applause. That was an excellent dive. Now, since these animals are spending so much time in the water, they do need to be mindful about predators. So you can see that Phoenix was doing a little check there, but maybe Phoenix will do a better check for those predators. Oh, you can see Penny is checking for those animals as well. They do have to watch for killer whales and sharks in the water. Wait a minute, is that a shark right there? Oh, silly Phoenix. Now, you may vacation where these guys are from, but here in the Midwest, we don't have access directly to their habitat, but we do have the Great Lakes. And so many of you might have been there already this summer, or maybe you're traveling there this weekend, but you might get there by motorboat. Thank you, Phoenix. Now, when you are visiting any water, you might notice some things that should not be there. And that would be trash. So cigarette butts covered in algae look like a nice treat. Plastic bags will look like jellies and other animals. And a lot of sea and sky animals get tangled up in fishing line. So Penny's going to show us exactly what we should do when we find items that should not be in the water. So Raven threw in a bottle, and Penny's going to demonstrate what we should do. We'll give her another try. Oh, she was so close. One more try. Okay, give Penny a round of applause. So, Penny showed us exactly what we should do when we find those items as well. We should put them in a bin with a lid, or better yet, a recycling bin. Now, you guys might have noticed when they're out there during the show that they have a really good relationship with the keepers that are working with them. So we use a couple different things that I'm going to talk about. One of them is positive reinforcement. So what that means is we ask the animal to do a behavior. When they do that behavior, they are giving them a verbal word, which is usually the word good, and then rewarding them with their favorite treat, which is fish. We also use what's called targeting. And so with targeting, we're asking the animal to put their nose onto something. So many of you might have noticed when Penny got out of the water, Raven used her hand and she targeted to her hand. But the keepers may also use target poles, where it's a float on the end of a pole, like what Raven has now to the left. And we use what's called approximations, and that's a really big word for step by step. So if the animal gets really good at targeting, for example, you can see she's going to have Penny jump higher and higher out of the water using that target pole. So we're able to take one behavior and then build upon it into more. Now, this training is very mentally stimulating for the animals, as well as gets their muscles moving, but it also allows them, let's see, Penny's going to go all the way up there. Oh, did any of you see that? That was awesome, she jumped really high. So it also allows them to be active participants in their medical care. So just like we go to the doctor, here at the Toledo Zoo, the veterinary staff can go to the sea lions. So the sea lions are able to open their mouths for dental checks to check their teeth. They're able to get eye drops, and they are able to present different body parts. You can see Meredith was asking Phoenix for different fins to take a look at them. They are also trained to allow the vet staff to draw blood from their back flippers. Now, like I said, it's not only really fun for the animals, they're getting their favorite treat, but it also helps them to be involved in any of their wellness checks. It reduces the need for physical restraint and anesthesia, which could be very stressful, and the animals get to partake in the process. Now, we would like to thank you guys for coming and visiting our show. We do have it twice a day at 10:30 and 2:30. So we encourage you in the next couple months on your next visit to stop back by and see any new behaviors that the sea lions have been working on. Again, this was sponsored by the Northwestern Ohio Chevy dealers. And last but not least, if I have any active military or veterans in the audience, we want to thank you for your service and we salute you. Thank you, girl. Well, I'll be back at the top of the stairs here if any of you have questions for the next couple minutes while they finish up their training. And if not, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day at the Toledo Zoo.
Yeah. It just looks really tough. You ready to go to the next city? No? Oh, no, keep going.
It's so small, it's so far away, it's big. I know, you'll get a chance in a second, honey.
Oh, you're silly goose, look at him. You're so cute. There's not a bed in there. It's like a little, they're animals, so they sleep outside or they make their own bed. They're like,
What are you doing on it?
no, whatever they can find.
Okay, Bruno, why don't you take Jack's spot there where he was? Thanks, Jack.
Oh, we can.
Goodbye in Swahili, an East African language. I know you know some Swahili already. Simba is lion in Swahili, so Disney named a lion in Swahili. Same thing with Moana. Moana is ocean in Samoan, so when you say, never mind, it's just Disney, okay? Now, if you look over to your right, some of you have already seen our three handsome treated brothers, Owens, Hark, and Pre. They're not even 4 years old, but they're around 120 pounds each. They're going to be in that back corner over here. Now, the reason you can't see them so well is that they are ambush predators. So in addition to being the fastest land animal, they use the element of surprise. Those dark solid spots give them near perfect camouflage in tall grass and bushes, but they even just sitting underneath the trees on the partial shadow, it's excellent camouflage. They have a very long body with a long hooked tail that acts as a rudder so they can make sharp turns and jump over obstacles. And they have semi-retractable claws that give them excellent traction so they can accelerate 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3 seconds. Better than your muscle cars. There we go, you can see one now. Notice their characteristic tear stripe, that reduces the glare of the sun. In addition to being able to run about 4 minutes or a quarter of a mile, which, you know, when you do the math, they can go up to 70 miles per hour. So that is pretty impressive, at least to me, okay? And they only hunt during the day because once they hunt the animals, they chase down, they kill the animal, they're so exhausted they can't protect their food. So if they hunt it at night, a lion will walk right over and steal their food. Kind of like you with your older brothers and sisters, you know, they just come over and just tease you. Look over to your right, and this orange strip too, you're going to see our beautiful giraffes. Now, we have 3 Maasai giraffes that are mature females from the southern part of Africa, Charlotte, Ellie, and Tuli. And we have 3 reticulated giraffes, number 2 on the orange strip. That's Rocket, Ray, and Lily. They come from the central part of Africa. Giraffes are the tallest land animal. They have the longest neck, tails, and tongues of any land animal. And their spots are so unique, they're just like your fingerprints. Okay, now if you move a little bit to the left, you can see that beautiful small creature. That's a male gazelle called a sand gazelle. Now, they are middle range. The shortest ones are Thompson gazelles, only 2 feet tall. Adder gazelles are 6 feet tall. Okay. So, they are amazing athletes. They can run 55 miles an hour for over 10 minutes. And then just beyond the Jeep, you can see their rear quarters. We have our 2 male zebras. They're known as Grant zebras or Upper Zimbabwe zebras. Their names are Jupiter and Jace. Very distinct stripe patterns. They go all the way down to their skin. Actually, their skin is black and they have white fur, very similar to a polar bear. They are the second fastest runners behind the gazelles for the plant-eating animals out here. Now, in the very back, you can see our ostriches. Number 3 on our strip. The male ostrich has the jet black feathers. The females have the light gray and brown feathers. You can see a baby male ostrich on the barnyard across the bridge. His name is Denny. That's Jasper. These are the Watisi cattle, number 5. And as my driver pointed out, one is actually sitting down in the shade. I believe that's Sir. That's the biggest one. So we have Bailey in the front, Handsome behind him, and then we have Curly. These are gentle giants. They're domestic animals known as the king's cattle, never slaughtered, but they grow up to 1,600 pounds. And those horns can be 8 feet from tip to tip. A fun fact about the horns is that those horns are actually hollow. They have blood flowing through the horns and it cools them off like the radiator of your car. This is our Asian half of the savanna. Do you notice those gray birds standing on the rocks there? They're number 6 on the strip. Those are helmeted guinea fowl. They are wild African chickens, known for how fast they run, how loud they are, and how territorial they are. If you are a stranger, instead of running away from you, they stare you down and start chirping and clucking. And when you have a whole flock of them called a confusion, you can hear them 2 miles away. That is why ranchers use chickens to guard their cattle. Alright, here's a mystery for you. What animal do you think chewed all those 4-inch diameter posts into toothpicks? I'll give you a clue. They have 2 humps. Okay, I'll give you another clue. They live in the Gobi Desert, and they can drink a lot of water at one time, 35 gallons. I'm sure you can figure it out. They're right over there. Okay, so number 8 on our strip, we have our Bactrian camels. Now, a good way to remember the difference between dromedary and Bactrian camels is a dromedary camel lives by the equator, northern Africa and Middle East. One hump, like a capital D, has 1 arch. Bactrian camels have 2 humps, like 2 arches on a capital B. That is Sasha. She is a super mom. The reason her front hump slumps over is that she doesn't have any excess body fat. She has been nursing 2 daughters for 5 years. So, her one daughter is Alham, who's going to turn a year old, who's the same height as her. And the other daughter is Zara, who is the tallest camel we have, who's right around 5.5. She'll turn 6 very soon. They have 2 sets of eyelids and nostrils that conceal to keep sand out of their sensitive areas. They have very wide feet because the Gobi Desert they live in has freezing cold winters and broiling hot summers. So they have to have good traction on hot shifting sand and snow and ice. For you rail fans, look over to your left. This is our train barn where we keep our 3 engines and 2 trains. Thank you. That's 24 gauge rail. That's 24 inches or 2 feet between the rail. It's considered narrow rail. And just for the, if you wonder what standard rail is, that's 3.5 feet tall. The same height you have to be to ride this train or the carousel all by yourself. Now over to the right are 2 replicas of termite mounds. No real termites, or they would devour that aerial adventure in 1 season. Okay? So, in the wild, there would be a dried out log, and they would burrow through that log, make those giant cones up to 30 feet tall. Once they run out of their source of wood, they leave some of the chambers collapse, and you get the second replica. Those are reindeer. It's an all-female herd. Of course, reindeer and caribou, both male and females, have antlers. They are still growing them because they have the dark, soft covering called velvet. Fun fact about reindeer, their noses do turn red. If they're startled or overexerting themselves, our cheeks turn red because of the blood vessels. Their noses turn red. So that what they don't tell you is that poor Rudolph is really stressed out and really pulling a very heavy sleigh. They don't tell you that part. Okay, so that's Alham, that's our youngest. Her name means inspiration in Arabic. She's the baby. Look how big she is. Here's one of our lovely ladies. Now, if you're a Twilight fan, you're gonna figure this out. Okay, the male ostrich is Jasper. The females are Rosalie and Esme.
You guys are
named after the vampires on Twilight. So, I believe here is Rosalie. Look at her big, beautiful eyes.
Is that an ostrich?
Those eyes are so large in relationship to her head. Come on. I just told them about you. Now, they are omnivores. They like seeds, but they will eat an occasional insect. Kind of like your kids, you know. Okay, look over to your left. You're going to see these beautiful antelope. And remember we mentioned Swahili? Nyala means beautiful. So they are Nyalas. She's coming out of the doorway. They're known as the deer of the savannah, and we have some youngsters with them. The male looks totally different. He has horns, he's shaggier, and he's darker. Kind of like his dad.
Giraffes get pissed at the ostrich.
Yeah, he's kicking it.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're you're going to see our giraffes much better as we come out. Now, if you ever go to the doctor and they say you have high blood pressure, this is what you tell your doctor. It's lower than a giraffe. Giraffes have the highest blood pressure of any land animal. Their brain's about 9 feet higher than their heart. It has to work very, very hard.
It doesn't really feel like a horse.
But their neck has the same amount of vertebrae or neck bones as us, only 7. Now I mentioned about their tongues. Their tongues are about from kneecap to your toe, foot and a half long. They're prehensile, that's how they grab everything. They're blue to prevent sunburn. This is the male. Yes, Oric, I know you're protecting your young. And then a youngster and one of his females. Get your cameras ready, you're going to see our cheetahs. Right here.
It's a weird thing. It's like a horned coffee.
Oh.
Thank you so much for riding the African Safari Railway. Please wait until the train comes to a complete and total stop before you leave your seat and exit towards the rear where Pat is waiting for you. Enjoy this gorgeous Saturday at your Toledo Zoo.
Come here, look. Good fish, sloth. Look at his nose. Camera. You see him? It's a sloth. See his head moving? Here's a picture of him.
Green.
Wow, is that interesting? Look at his mustache. He's got a cool mustache.
Oh, it just took it from him.
Wow. Right in there in the trees, look at. Wow. There you go. You see him rolling, he's up in the tree right there. And a sloth is very slow. And there's one curled up in the box, yeah. Wow, he has squished himself in that box, didn't he? Wow. Wow, that is cool.